So in this recording, I'll be talking about how I created my artist logo. So for some reason, it didn't save as separate layers for all these. So I'll just talk about how I made this shape, and then we'll go into the effects that I used in a moment. So to start with, I just used the Eclipse tool, which is down here, I believe. Yeah. So I use the Eclipse tool here to create a basic circle. Then I used all black for this, obviously, just because it's a good colour that stands out on most things. I then made another circle using just white instead, and then used the Magic Wand tool here to select and delete it. So I'd have this sort of circle with a hollow middle. I then copied that and shrank it down whilst pressing Shift to keep the circle its same sort of shape, but shrinking it down. So it would be a smaller copy of the larger circle. I then shifted that into the middle of this circle, so it would have like these two rings that you see. So this one here, and this outer one here. I went and looked through loads of images, and one thing I came across was that Japanese circle that had like almost like kanji characters in it, but wasn't quite. And I thought that looked pretty cool. So I said, I'd do something similar, but not quite. So I then went into the rectangle, went and used the rectangle tool and drew some rectangles and made a cross. And it came out looking like a wheel, and I thought that was quite cool. I like that. I then copied the two. I then merged those two rectangles together to make the cross and put it inside, so it bisect the middle, so it definitely goes straight through the middle and look like a wheel. I then copied that merged image and rotated it by 45 degrees to get this X, and also put it in through the middle, but I made it so it was small enough to hit only the inside circle rather than the outside circle. So that got me this sort of star-like look. I then drew a small rectangle and just went from the outer edge circle to the corner where the cross bisects the inner circle. I then copied that down here. I then copied that and then rotated it, or flipped it even, and put it here and here. And that sort of made it look like a sideways eye, and I really liked that look. So then the next thing I went into was the effects, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did some nice, I looked at all the effects I had, and one thing I knew I wanted was to change colour. So I used a gradient overlay, which got it to this sort of nice, well, it starts off with a preset, which is black, grey and white. I then decided, well, what colours really pop on most colours? Oh, I mean, aside from its own colour, obviously. So I thought, well, obviously they got this preset here for like this orangey glow shimmer. That looked pretty cool, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. So I stuck with the black to white gradient overlay fade, but changed the colour from black to blue. So I obviously selected a darker blue to start with. So it was just like this dark blue that faded into white. I then chose a really light blue for the other end. That was almost borderline teal colour, and it just faded sort of from that to that colour, which I could have left and looked quite nice. But I thought, let's put a middle colour in there to really like bring it out. So I went sort of halfway between the two for this colour here, which is a nice lightish blue, and it had this. It came out with this really nice fade effect that I really do like putting on stuff that I've done in Photoshop before. So then after that I thought, well, let's give it like an edge or something. So I started with Inner Glow, but it didn't come out looking too good. I didn't like it, so I turned it off. I went to outer glow instead. Now it didn't fill in the background to start with, only filled up like the minor edges. I said that looks cool, but it's not really bold, and it doesn't make a statement that I like. That's sort of me, very sort of contradictory, but really bold and creative. So I've set my blend mode to normal, but I set it from precise to softer. This would just make it a little bit easier on the eyes. I then also turned the noise down because it was at 50%, so it was a little speckly and I didn't like that. And I turned the opacity from 25 to 100. This was to make it a proper hard glow so you could really see that colour. I then made the spread greater from 10 to 35 and also the size from 25 to 65. This got it to this to how it looks now. This outer edge with black and all the insides filled. I thought that was quite nice. Also, I did it almost looked like it was on another circle, and it really brought it out. I also then changed contour from this one to a gradient contour like this, a linear even. So I went from inverted cone to linear. It just looked a whole lot nicer because it sort of had this extra circle, and whilst it looked like quite cool with this little halo it had, I didn't really want that at the time, so I went to the linear one, and it gave it this sort of shadow around the outside of the outer glow, which I was really quite happy with, and that's how I ended up with my symbol. What I then later went on to do was add it into my artist name, CODEX. So what I did was I took out the O and replaced it with this, just to use it not only in my name, but use a part of my name that could be used on anything, so on my merch, on my albums, so that people would know it was me. So that's the end of how I made my artist logo. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.